Hello, everyone. It is my extreme pleasure to introduce the guest we have today. She is the global CEO of Criteo, one of the platforms that have been active in the marketing meets technology and then the commerce space for the longest time. And their journey has evolved over time in many, many ways that have not only benefited the advertising technology ecosystem, but marketers and their objectives per se. So today we have some exclusive time with Miss Megan Clarken. She is reasonably new to the role, given that all that has been happening with us, but now almost a veteran at Criteo too. So I should welcome her. Hello, Megan.
Hello. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Noor.
Today, we are going to use this time to get a lot more about the India market, of course, but we need to understand, why did you think now was a good time for this entire repositioning, the new logo? I can see the new logo in your backdrop as well. We have been very used to the old logo, so this still takes its time to be like, yeah, this is the Criteo we know. Why did you decide now to do this?
Because we're in that phase of our transformation. So if I go back, I've been with the company for 18 months, just over 18 months. And I came on board to put in place a transformation and move the company from a legacy retargeting company to a commerce media platform, utilizing all of the assets that the company has. And so the logo that we had before was 15 years old. The company is a 15-year-old company. And we say something different. We speak a different language. We speak, the way in which we look after our clients is different. The products that we offer are different. And we stand on principles of openness, transparency, supporting open internet, creating optionality for clients, opportunities for clients, and opportunities for us. And so in the logo, you'll see that there's sort of, there's a boldness to it. There's a roundness to it. There are circles in there that speak to the openness of us and our place in the open internet. And because we're now a company that does more than just retargeting, now is exactly the right time to come forward and just make a statement about who the new Criteo is. And so that's why we did it. We love it, by the way. I hope you
liked it. It's a very clutter-free, clean, very nice logo. But of course, the logo came with everything that you spoke about, the new positioning. I did want to kind of understand from you, what is it today with your new positioning? We can first talk about the new positioning itself, because I kind of like the way you use the word. So we're talking about a commerce media platform that is using data sets to fuel the e-commerce boom. I wanted to understand, what exactly is the meaning of collective commerce data here?
Yeah, so it's data that we collect from our clients. On one side of our business, we have 21,000 marketers, and we have access to their data. On the other side of our business, we have over 5,000 media companies and access to data across there as well. We also have artificial intelligence technology that we've been renowned for, that's been built up over the last 15 years. So taking these data sets and connecting them and creating intelligent commerce data from them that we then use to fuel the ability for marketers to get to the right people at the right time, on the right platforms, on the right devices, is what we do. And the power of it for us is because we have access to data like their shopping behavior, like the websites that they like to go and see. And so our ability to put these things together to give a much more sophisticated, much more precise ability to make sure that we get you, Noor, is what differentiates us from everybody else. And so in the past, Criteo was about just retargeting, just making sure that, if you saw an ad, you saw it again at the right time. But now with the data sets that we have this ability, huge ability, to do more than that and offer more broader targeting capabilities across many different platforms. And the reason why this is really important now is because with third-party cookies going away and the focus being on how do I make sure I get to that right person, because I don't have access to third-party cookies, first-party data, which is what we have, is queen. And so it means we can just move past the world of using third-party data and go right to the source, which is we have permission from you to use your data to make sure that what you see is relevant to you and gives you a great experience.
This was a promise of retargeting programmatic for a really long time, right? Right person, right time, right device, right context, right price, and then you have the right message, you have got the person. But we also did see that it wouldn't always stand up to its promise. Now, in the last year, e-commerce went crazy, though it was always a sunshine sector, but in the last year, we have seen e-commerce really shoot through the roof. When I put both of these together, your own transition, what was happening with the industry, what did it mean for you? How fast did you have to up your product stacks maybe, or change what you're offering to meet the new consumers' demands?
Yeah, look, it was pretty seamless. It was fantastic that it went in that direction. And it continues to go in that direction. E-commerce is growing at a clip, 24%, I think, outside of China's e-commerce properties, 24% globally. And it's only going to continue to be that way, predominantly fueled by what's happened through the pandemic. And we have those assets. We have the relationships with the retailers, with the marketers and the media owners. So we're not starting from scratch here. For us, it's about building the moat around the assets that we have and going after what I would call, that space. There's nobody else really there. Amazon advertising is there, but they don't service the open internet. So the best place to service the open internet, it's Criteo with the relationships that we have. We're not a retailer ourselves. We're no threat to anybody. We produce the services that enable a thriving e-commerce marketplace outside of the walled gardens. And so it's become a natural progression for us. But, I say that like, it just fell on our lap. We've done a lot of work to identify it and what it looks like, the size of it, the opportunity over time. And it's certainly, well and truly the right place for us to go.
Everybody in the last year has been talking about skilling, reskilling, revisiting what their work structure looked like. You just said that it was pretty much seamless for you to go through because you were already on that path. How did this translate back at work? How did you have to reorganize maybe?
Yeah, good question. That is a little more difficult. So we've had to expand our portfolio. So it's been helpful in making sure, helping us with decisions about what to do and what not to do. Always when you create a strategy, what I love about strategies is that yes, they tell you what to do, but even more importantly, they tell you what not to do. So it meant that we could stop doing some things that we were doing before. It meant that we had to upskill or reskill in some areas, our people. Product was an area, go-to-market was an area, lots of work around, do we have the right models in place in terms of pricing? Requires people with those skills. Our commercial organization, reorganizing that around solution selling rather than point solution selling, and structuring it in such a ways that we could have commercial people who speak the language of the client. In other words, I'm a travel expert. I know what travel marketers are looking for, and people that speak the language of the product. I know everything there is to know about contextual and how that should relate to travel. And so this sort of, moving of chess pieces, upskilling, reskilling, bringing in new talent has been part of that transformation process, and a really important part of it.
Lots of expectations then, isn't it, Megan? You have changed so much in your company. The dynamics outside the business has also changed. So in the year ahead, there are a lot of changes or a lot of expectations that people would have from your business, but this is layered with some problems outside. You mentioned it very briefly about the cookieless world that's going to be upon everybody soon. Now, your strategy or rather your expectation that when that actually goes through, and because of your access to first-party data, wherein it actually allows you to come up with solutions, what will happen? How do you see your relationships with your current customers or your potential customers change in that scenario?
Moving forward, I say first-party data is queen. We have access to it. We also are extremely close with Google, so we work with them in terms of helping influence what they're doing in their privacy sandbox and in the decisions that they're making. We feel very, we feel like protectors of the open internet, Noor. We want to make sure that the open internet remains a healthy, vibrant place for consumers. It's just critical on belief. And so what they call phasing out of third-party cookies has many implications to publishers and marketers on the open internet. And so as much as we can possibly get to them, we'll share what we know, we'll offer our services, we'll continue to provide, have them have an ability to get one-to-one as best as we possibly can. To your question, our clients are sort of looking to us to be their voice. We want to represent the open internet and our client's voice. And so the entire open internet, our client subset, of course, I'd love to have clients that were the entire open internet, but we want to, and we need to represent the open internet. And so clients, lean on us to be that, their voice, to also come back to them with, what are the implications, and to help them work through getting ready for when this happens. And more and more and more marketers and media owners will lean on ad tech providers or technology providers to help them through this new world. It's completely different.
There is obviously, you are the tech solution provider. There's a marketer at one end. There are media platforms at one end. Now, all of them have a single goal, that is to reach the consumer. It ultimately does boil down to consumer experience, especially in this digital first stroke, digital only world, right? Now, from your perspective in the time ahead, so now I'm getting you to do some crystal ball gazing now. In the time ahead, with the progress of ad tech and e-commerce in the way we have seen it, how much of an impact or how much of a difference will it make for the consumer experience?
Well, look, I have to start by saying that it could go the other way. And the current path says that it's going to go in the other direction. It'll become worse. So if cookies, now they say phase out. I don't know what phase out means because the browser either supports them or it doesn't.
Yeah, correct.
If cookies go away in April of 2022 and nobody's ready, then their experience is terrible.
Yes.
And the future of the open internet is very questionable. Let's say everything was wonderful. I think that ultimately I see the digital environment as being one where you have choice, you have access to choice, and your experience can only get better over time as technology gets better and as we learn more about what consumers like and don't like. And I think that we may be in a little bit of a panic mode at the moment because of what I just said. It's like, okay, well, how do I adapt to that, let alone try to make a great experience going forward? I think e-commerce will play a bigger part in people's lives. We're already seeing it. I think that we get better and better at understanding the consumer and making sure that we can make the right choices about what we put in front of them, both from a from a e-commerce perspective, from a media owner's perspective, and the way in which ad tech services consumers. And that just comes through technology evolution over time. And the use of what we're doing, which is using first-party consented data and applying AI technologies across it so that we can learn. And over time, clearly we get to a place where I'll get to privacy in a second, but without it being disruptive to you or pervasive to you, we're able to give you an experience that you feel is yours, belongs to you. This is how you work, and the machine seems to know you very, very well. And it's done in such a way that you don't feel threatened by the use of your data in making the experience work. So, all of that is possible. All of that will happen. I keep going to the experience of Alexa or Google Home, whereby, you let it listen to you. But you don't mind so much because it works. I don't know if you have those devices, but it does take the time. It does give you the weather. It does read the news. It does the things that you want it to do, and it knows you very well. And for some reason, you feel safe in that environment. That environment spilt over across the open internet on a desktop or on a mobile, in an app environment, on a web environment, is one that I think this sort of your partner, your relationship with the internet becomes safer and better and more useful.
All right, fair enough. So it's still a bit of an uncertain world out there, still a little bit of wait and watch. But there's a lot that was happening in India last year. Like the accelerated digital adaptation in this country was crazy. And we saw a lot of investment coming on the back of that. While you were looking at it, Megan, you were still slightly new to the Criteo global role when the crisis took off. Now, of course, I almost think you're a veteran. Crisis taught everything really fast. But at that time, from all that you were seeing in India, what were some of your first thoughts on how Indian companies are performing or facing the COVID second wave, for example?
Well, let me start by saying I've run. I come out of Nielsen, so I spent 15 years at Nielsen, and part of my remit was India and our Indian business. So I spent time in India with Indian business clients, and I love India. By the way, it's one of my favorite places. I just absolutely love it. So
we'll see you again here soon.
You definitely will. But the ingenuity and the vibrancy of the business community is just it's so refreshing. It's so fun to be a part of. From a business perspective, again, I guess the ingenuity of the Indian people to continue to, run their business, be competitive in their marketplace. I'm looking at a stat here from our Indian holiday report from 2020. There was a 28% year-on-year increase in overall online retail sales in India in 2020. The video world, video advertising world is looking really, really promising. So marketers moving spend onto video platforms. It keeps going. Here's one thing that's really important, I guess, in this environment and for some time afterwards, which I'm only going to imagine applies to India as well, is that it creates an opportunity for smaller e-commerce players, smaller retailers to really grab share of consumers' wallets, because consumers are spending more time shopping around, and because of the logistics and delivery. So what we've found in other markets, which I'm going to guess is true for India, we need to do some work on this, surveying this, but for bigger brands, sometimes it's harder for them to deliver. And so it's an opportunity for local products, local retailers to be able to actually get products to people, and not have them wait for 2 months to get there. So the dynamics sort of shift, and it does open opportunities. And from what I can see from the data so far, the same applies to India.
But that was the experience too. A lot of small businesses were very badly affected. But there were those spurts of opportunities that came up when they would adapt to technological roads. Or you can just give me a sense on your growth areas or focus areas in the year ahead where we will see you invest more.
Yeah, so we have a pretty clear set of focuses for 2021. Now, I change focuses every year. If I think they need to, we at least review them, and it may be that likely that it'll change, or not in the case of the first two. The first one is growth, clearly growth. And I'm going to bring that back to sort of M&A, the way that we think about M&A shortly. The first one is growth. It really speaks to the fact that we've created a strategy where we see an opportunity, which is the commerce media platform and the e-commerce or commerce on the open internet. And so that means that we have to get everything lined up to move from a retargeting business to a commerce media platform business, be that technology or people, our clients, both. So growth for us is about making our numbers for 2021, getting ourselves set up to make them for 2022, and putting in place what we need to do to execute against the commerce media platform strategy. The second priority is execution. So we're in transformation mode and we've got to get things done. I come from a school of leadership which says you do what you say you're going to do. You do what you say you're going to do. And if you can't do it, don't say it. If you get halfway through and you realize you can't do it, then say you can't do it. We have a very, very low tolerance for lack of execution, and we're going to get this done. So our second priority is on this focus on execution against the plan, and clearly doing drives growth. The third point is around our laser focus on our first party network. Which puts us in the driver's seat for our business in the ad tech market post the phasing out of third-party cookies. Third-party cookies. So that's the third focus, and so I make sure that I spend a lot of time, and our team spend a lot of time making sure that we're ready for that. And so they're the three areas that everything that our people do, we look at it and say, does it belong into one of those three areas? If it doesn't, don't do it, because we have this high do what you say you're going to do. We need to get the work done. We need to execute. And so that's what's driving I don't know if I've answered your question. I apologize. It's just driving us to 2022. I got it. Okay.
I was very keen to know specifically the areas you're looking at, and you have very much answered that. When we were looking at the whole list of the entire environment. So in the last 1 year, of course, there has been a lot of media merging with each other and people acquiring more companies in the media space. Of course, the telco space in the United States also was very active. However, just prior to that, in the ad tech space, there were major buyouts, whether it was Publicis and the landmark Epsilon deal, or even companies like IPG before that. I'm pretty sure they would have come knocking at your door as well at some point or the other. Why is it that you are still an independent? Have you ever considered that route where you will be working with somebody else as well?
Well, look, firstly, we have our blinkers on. So we're we're not, you know.
I already answered that question.
we see, we see where we're going. We a very, very big story here, and so we're chasing that one down. Now, I work for my board, and my promise to my board is to turn the business around, to turn Criteo around. And so that has me focused on executing and making sure that happens. The board, the board will always are open to anything, as any good board should be. But they like the strategy that I put in place. They like the direction that we're going in. And we've come a long way in a short time, a really long way in a short time.
I think anybody who's watching this space would have liked the strategy you have put in place. I think Criteo has been more active in the last year than I have seen it before, ever. Which brings me to you, Megan, your leadership style. Now, of course, you are Criteo's first female chief. I usually don't like putting metric like that, but it is the way it is. Also, I wanted to understand any of your early experiences, especially given this is a listed company. So there are demands of people you just mentioned, both shareholders and stakeholders, which can be really overwhelming at times. What was your first experience? Early experiences.
Of Criteo or of the board?
Of Criteo. Of
Criteo.
Criteo, and suddenly answerable to the entire board on how it's all going to be rosy in the end.
Well, certainly it was a company under enormous pressure. And it went under more pressure after I started, by the way. So I started at the tail end of 2019, and it was a company under pressure of which I was brought in to transform. In January of 2020.
Yes. China had stopped already. We were all thinking nothing's going to happen to us. We're still fine. And 2 months later.
Oh, no, I'm actually talking about Chrome. I'm talking about Google announced Chrome would stop supporting. Yeah, I got a few whammies. So I can imagine, 2 months in, I get the Chrome announcement. And by the way, you can see what I'm talking about. You can see all on our stock price. You can see what happened. So that's like, welcome to the job. And then 2 months after that, we get hit by a pandemic, and I had to send 2,800 people home. So it was a little bit sort of, into the fire, a fire that I didn't anticipate. But I had a job to do. So those things just sort of add elements of complexity, but I'm not and have never been one to shy away from the challenges. What I saw in Criteo was exactly what I thought I'd see, which was a company that had lost its way, the retargeting business that was going out of business, and then the blow from Chrome made it worse. So I've got a blow from Apple and then a blow from Chrome. But having said all of that, 2,800 people, average age of 31, absolutely delightful, just hungry for direction, wanted to win, loved the company, loved the culture, but wanted to be back in the winning position, which was, wow, when you walk into a company and that's your biggest asset right there, where's to start? Like nothing else sort of phases you after that. The second thing I saw, which I was anticipating because I knew it, was the company was really struggling. The retargeting business was going downhill quickly. The new solutions that were being built to counter that were not growing fast enough. And there was no strategy. There was no structure. The leadership team structure wasn't there. It was amazing. And yet it's a pot of gold, the assets. So it was just, it was fun to walk into it, roll the sleeves up and just do what I do, which is, let's turn this thing around. Let's all get together. And I remember saying in one of my first big company meetings, the day that we see a headline which says Criteo is back. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And so, we're nearly there.
Employee centricity was very core to your way of operating from everything that I read. Now, from that sense, what is your ambition, Megan? What are you overall looking for your company's culture to eventually become?
Well, I wanted to stay the culture that it is. It's vibrant. It's passionate. We feel like a family, a lot of people who create a family.
Very inclusive.
Very inclusive, yeah. Look, the things that I would say that I need to work on are, we're in a very competitive environment. And so I don't want to lose talent. And so I want to make sure that we're retaining the talent that we have. And that's always going to continue to take work. But we're not as diverse a company as I would like to see, because we have the CEO is a woman, CFO is a woman, and our chairwoman, head of our board, is a woman. Our board itself tipped is more female than male. So start from the top, that's a good way to start. That's unusual, very unusual, particularly in tech. I got to continue to push the envelope and get more parity across all minority groups through the organization. And we'll do that.
I'm going to wish you the best in that. This is my last question now to you. Again, it is about you. The pandemic in the last year, probably it's arguable, but everybody was faced with the same set of problems. But the solutions was very unique to the company's leader. I want to understand that how did the pandemic personally change you or your leadership style?
Well, it brought out things. I wouldn't say it changed things. It brought things out. For instance, I like to spend time with the people. And I don't always get time to spend with the people. And sometimes that's the thing that sort of has to wait, or I do it in, global all hands. But one of the things I've done over the last year and a half is I have what we call coffee breaks. This is fun, Noor. So there'll be 10 people randomly picked out of an office, just randomly picked out. And they all have a 30-minute meeting with me. And it gives me a great opportunity just to shoot the breeze and yada, yada. I've met now, out of 2,500 people, I've met 1,200 people.
Wow.
In 10 people batches. So that's not a change in my leadership. It's the ability for me to bring out those things that you just have to call on in times like this. And I find that's a gift. That one there is a gift. So it's... Yeah. So it's things like that. It's just, times like this, people, 2,800 people working from home, 2,500. We gotta bring people together. We gotta listen more. We've got to be more. We've got to put ourselves into their shoes. And I think that the company has become more global for it. These wonderful moments that bring out the human in you and just sort of put the business to one side for a minute.
I'm very grateful for your time, Megan. I truly enjoyed this conversation. I probably learned a few things as well. I'm going to wish you the very best in your journey. You have quite an ambitious target for yourself and for your company. And I hope when we speak again, we'll be talking about how delighted you are that you met all of it.
It's my pleasure. It's such a nice time talking to you too, Noor. You take it easy, all right? Stay safe. Please stay safe.
All the best, Megan. Thank you.
Bye now.